Headlines burning, chaos on the feed. Woke mob shouting what we're allowed to read. Aliens landing while the pundits cry. Hollywood melting while the markets fly. Anthony! The conqueror!
Oh, another quick video this time. Quicker this time for sure. Damn, I need a haircut. Look at me. And look at my headphones. Broke today. Need to get some new ones. Just wanted to go over this because this happened in the past week. We had this massive march against hate, against far right, right wing, racism, whatever you may call it. Had it in London. They claimed 500,000 people there, but the Met Police claimed there was 40,000. And put it this way, if there was 500,000 at this rally, judging by the videos and the footage I've seen, there was definitely 500,000, if not 1,000,000, at the patriotic march nearly a year ago in London. So the reason I wanted to do this video is purely because it is just so delusional. It's unreal. This isn't, I'm not against people's free speech. I'm not against individual groups. We've had free Palestine marches. Okay, I disagree with a lot of what they say, but they have a right to do it. And if it's a cause they believe in, that's fine. LGBTQ rights, even feminists, all freedom of speech. But when you get marches like this, it is absolutely filled of hate. It's absolutely filled of delusion. Let me just, before playing this video, you can clearly see Iranian Islamic regime flags, not Iranian, the old flags that represented the country before the Islamic regime. No, Islamic regime, Iranian flags right next to rainbow flags. And I'm guaranteeing in this video, I've not watched it yet, we'll probably see a load of feminists with purple hair with pro-women's, and they're all together, and it's they don't realise that they don't go together. They don't go together. You've got Islamic regime which persecutes women's rights compared to the West, yet you've got women feminists flying their flags like we stand with Iran, and you've got gay rights flags, the rainbow flag, fair enough, but with Islamic regime, do they not understand? It I just I don't know anymore. It's just absolute utter madness. We need to open the asylums again. I'm not saying that we need to do this mass putting thousands in just because they disagree politically, but some things in life you look at and it's like you don't make sense. Something's wrong up there. At least with the right-wing marches, they're there for a common cause. They're not going to be flying Iranian Islamic regime flags and a British flag. They fly the British flag. They're there for because they're patriotic. You deem them right-wing, far-right, whatever. You're wrong, but that's what you deem them at. They're there for a specific cause. The same with the LGBTQ. When they do their marches, they're there for a specific cause. But to start mixing these all together, thinking it's all in protest against a particular political leaning is absolute garbage. It doesn't make sense. Let's just watch this. It's only a few minutes.
Samara Gill is host of Triggered with Samara Gill on Talk TV. She was at that rally in London this week and has this analysis.
Let me tell you something honestly. What I saw on the streets of London this weekend wasn't unity and it wasn't peaceful protest. And it certainly wasn't some wholesome multicultural celebration of tolerance. It was something far more troubling.
Campaign for nuclear disarmament, Palestine solidarity campaign, stop the war, but then there's also rainbow flags in the background that I'm sure will start appearing. It just doesn't make sense. What hill are you dying on?
This march, billed as the stand against the so-called far right, turned into a gathering of some of the most extreme, confused, and frankly dangerous ideas that you'll see anywhere in Britain today. There were over 400 groups involved, from the Socialist Workers' Party to the Stop the War Coalition to the pro-Palestine factions, and then the hard-left activists. They all piled into this one march. And what did it become? Well, it became a chaotic ideological free-for-all where no one seemed entirely sure what they were protesting, but everyone was very much sure who they hated.
That's it. They have a unity for hate. They don't know what they're protesting for. You've got conflicting people protesting. You've got pro-Islamic regime with trans rights and LGBTQ with women and a feminist. It doesn't go together, but the one thing they share in common is their hatred. And what's their hatred for? They say it's right-wing, but it's not. It's conservatism in general. I'm not talking about Conservative Party. They hate the West. They hate Christianity and how the West is built. But they're quite happy to live in the West and go to Western universities and study bullshit degrees like head of gender rights. I mean, what the hell, where's that going to get you a job? So this is just a hatred for the West. They do it because it's trendy and it's cool and they want to get noticed. They love everything about the West without admitting it. They love to be able to go and get their soy lattes from Starbucks. They like to be able to use their iPhones. They like to be able to use clean public transport. They like all the benefits of Western society / democracy / capitalism. But then they pretend they're against all that. They're socialists and communists. Go and live in China then. Go and live in North Korea. Go and live in certain Middle Eastern countries. Go there and your ideologies will fit more in line there. Go there. If you're really anti-Britain and pro-Iran, go and live in Iran. Because I've met Iranian people who have fled Iran over the past years and decades who love their country but they hate what it's seen. But for some reason, you blue-haired wankstains seem to know better. You seem to, the West is so evil and so bad and everything we do is wrong and we should do repatriations for slavery like we're the only ones that had slaves and, you know, capitalism is bad whilst they're using a friggin' iPhone and stuff. It's fucking mad, man. It's mad. It's chickens for KFC.
Now, here's why that really matters. Because the branding of this march was unity. But the reality, well, Jewish groups, such as the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, had been frozen out. They were not welcomed, they were not included, they were totally barred from coming and joining the so-called Unity March. So let's just be clear. If you're marching against extremism and you exclude Jews, the very group that has been historically targeted by the actual far right, then what exactly are you marching against? In fact, not a single person I spoke to could condemn Hamas. Let's take a look.
Jesus Christ, I just paused there at the right moment. Look, I know they're wearing wigs and stuff, but the message they're sending is clear. I mean, you can smell them from here. Anyway, of course they're not going to condemn Hamas. Hamas are opposed to everything that is West and Jewish and our way of life. And of course they're going to have support, usually in the region, but to have support. Look, we've had Hamas and Hezbollah deemed as terrorist organizations for decades now, since the 90s, 80s for Hezbollah. And no one said shit about that for years. It was understood, you know, they're a terrorist organization, blah, 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 blah. And it's only the past couple of years that they've become idolized. They're freedom fighters. What, suddenly they're freedom fighters? Not all these past few decades that these people's parents recognize them as terrorist organization. No. You know better than everybody else, right? Yeah. Okay, I've got you. I can't, man. These videos wind me up probably more than anything. We know politicians are corrupt. Those videos can wind me up, but it's always been the case. But this delusion that's setting in the past several years is absolutely madness. Like, it needs address and mental health issues, seriously. And I'm not here to condemn them and isolate them from society. They clearly need help. Not that I think that I'm mentally 100% acceptable in society. I have some right-wing views that a lot of people disagree. But one thing I am is consistent. Like most right-wing people or centre people, they're more consistent. You know, if someone is extreme and they're against Muslims, then they tend to be against Jews and other people. Centre people tend to be for certain rights, but it's consistent in their belief and it connects the dots. with the left or the far left, they're acting like fascists. They have no idea what they're doing. They get violent all the time, like a toddler doesn't get their way. Oh no, I'm going to kick everything. I'm going to break everything until I get my way. So now Hamas are heroes. Any military action that the West will take now, even if it was to defend our own country, let's say, God forbid, there was a major terror attack in London, we found out who it is, and we decided to retaliate, we, in the UK, in the West, would be deemed as terrorists. Yesterday I saw that there was a video of an alleged Iranian bridge that was destroyed by America. I don't necessarily agree with the Iran war. Watch my video on that. But the fact is, they were turning around saying it's a war crime. All these lefties, it's a war crime. First of all, destroying a bridge is not a war crime. It's strategic in military operations. It's happened for thousands of years. It's all to do with supplies. Donuts. Second of all, you ain't said shit about Iran firing cluster missiles, cluster bombs at Israel. Again, I'm not defending Israel here. That's a separate video. You can be on the fence in this subject. Condemn both sides. Because it's an everlasting war. But they're firing cluster bombs which are indiscriminate and can kill anybody. They're not accurate. But you ain't said shit about that. You don't say shit about the 30 to 40,000 people killed in the space of a month in Iran by their own government for their political beliefs and protest. Ain't said shit. It's all about Gaza, innit? Gaza's the trending thing. That's all you care about. What? Sorry, let's fix our own problems in each country first, like declining population rates, cost of living, energy crisis, increase in terrorism, etc., etc., jobs, housing. No. You hear all these politicians come in, they start talking about Gaza, and these are the people they're pandering to. They're just doing it for votes.
Hamas a terrorist group? No comment.
One person's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist.
I spoke to people, dozens of them, and when you ask them the simplest question, do you condemn Hamas? They go, no comment, it's complicated, and Hamas were freedom fighters. Let's be clear here, Hamas is a prescribed terrorist organisation in the UK, and that's for the reason that they wake up and they say death to all Jews, as well as Israel, and then the West. While we have politics...
I'm going to get onto this. I can't look at the screen now. Last thing I want to say about the Hamas argument. I get it when some people say that they're freedom fighters. I disagree, but I can see the argument for it. They're in an area, they've got tensions with Israel over decades now. There's a history there. And when you get a group come through and they start attacking the people that surround them, you could argue that they're freedom fighters. But when you start killing your own people for their political beliefs, and you're building bunkers and tunnels under schools, and you're hiding rockets and weapons in schools, and this has all been factually proven, then you are acting like terrorists. Simple. Because you're not getting the British military hiding weapons in a secondary school, regardless. You're not getting the American military building bunkers under a shopping mall, for example. So this is the argument there. The next bit, I was waiting for this.
Politicians like the Green Party leader, Zach Polanski, and big names like Steve Coogan dancing with the LGBT community like it's some sort of fundraise or family fun day out.
Atrocious.
Talk about defeating the far right. I mean, what does far right even mean now? Because if believing in borders, wanting controlled immigration, and supporting national security makes you far right, then the label has completely lost its meaning. And that's the real danger here. Because once everything is labelled far right, then nothing is. And in the process, genuine extremism, real, visible, aggressive activism gets ignored, excused, and even applauded by some of the actual far right sections of society. So don't be fooled by the slogans and don't be distracted by the branding, because this wasn't unity at all. It was a glimpse of a movement that is becoming much louder, much more confident, and less tolerant than it brands itself to be. And that should worry absolutely everyone.
Yeah, and it's yet another wake-up call for the West.
Damn right it is. Let's go back to that brief bit. Here. Polanski on the stage. This bit really annoyed me. We know, first of all, just to wrap this up, a week or two ago, the Green Party came out of a video, and it was all about running and the cost of living and how people are getting 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet. And I actually agreed with a lot of said. It was a pretty good video. Doesn't mean I'm going to vote Green or anything like that, but it was still a good video, good message. And then a week later, he's dancing on stage, bloody YMCA crowd. Could one day be a potential future Prime Minister. I don't think so, but he's in running for it. And he's on stage dancing with guys that are dressed up in mankinis and whatever, an LGBTQ party. And I'm not saying that shouldn't be allowed, but then that should be specifically an LGBTQ parade or march, protest, whatever you want to call it. This is a fucking embarrassment. An absolute embarrassment. Just like I wouldn't expect to see a future PM up on stage with a really far-right crowd who have like Nazi flags or whatever that may. That would be unacceptable too. This is the other extreme. He's in a crowd where they've got Islamic regime flags. They got, I bet you there's a bloody Hamas flag somewhere for sure. They got people holding pictures of the Ayatollah. They got rainbow parade flags. They got all these different feminist flags. Stop the war. Refugees welcome. All these types of things, all conflicting. And then he's on stage dancing at what is some sort of bloody sex party. It looks like it's absolutely unacceptable. And the fact that he's even in contention winds me up. It winds me up. So much that I choke. This is making me choke on my own shit, man. I can't anymore. This is absolute bullshit. Absolutely. Nigel Farage got stick a week ago for going to Ipswich Town Football Club and taking a picture there. I agree, politics shouldn't be involved in football, so there's an argument there. This guy's on stage doing a bloody YMCA, and it's not that I know he's gay. I'm not against the gay community, but the stage shouldn't be like this. If you want to get a message across, at least be neutral and professional and learn where to be, when to be, and what not to be at certain times in order to appeal to. Because if he came into power now with this sort of crowd of people, and I was living in the UK, I'd honestly think I'd have to leave the country. 100%. As a straight, white, Christian male, I'm buggered, man. I am buggered. So 100%. This is unacceptable. It's not that I'm against people and their freedom of speech, but there's kids in this crowd, and you got men in thongs and stuff like that. If there was a right wing march and you had women in like bikinis that were St. George flags, and you had Rupert Lowe, Nigel Farage up on stage with Tommy Robinson and all that, and you had these women with their chesticles out and they're wearing these Union Jack, Union flag bikinis and all that sort of stuff. Guarantee you it will be all over the news. Look at this. Children in the crowd should be ashamed of themselves. Far-right scum, far-right debauchery, all this. But it's okay when they do it. Always it's okay when they do it. If you're someone that's pro-Islamic regime in that crowd, and you're stood there and watching this on stage and you think this is okay, you're a hypocrite. You're totally contradicting yourself. Anyway, I could sit here for hours and go over this, but I'm not going to, and I'm not expecting you to listen for that long. But it's absolutely mad what the world's coming to. So, onwards and upwards. In a few months, May, I believe, not long at all, there's centre-right, nationalistic, patriotic march happening. I hope that doesn't go down the other extreme. From what I saw last year, it didn't look like it went the other extreme, although it was slandered left, right and centre by the media. At least it's bloody consistent, though. At least they go there, they know what they want, they agree. You can speak to anybody in the crowd and they tend to know their shit more. They can point to Gaza on a map, they can point to facts. You go to these crowds, these people are so deluded. It's like, what do you think of Gaza and all that? Here's a map, point to it. Guarantee you they can't. Guarantee you they can't. Anyway, have a good one. Onwards and upwards. Please like and subscribe.